Look at that lovely, lovely oil cap. When you look inside,
it smells kind of weird in here.
does your Levante smell like that?
No,
It smells, what does it smell like to you?
like a cat peed in here.
Welcome to Hoovy's Garage, the dumbest automotive channel in all of YouTube. And just when you thought I couldn't get any dumber, I go and buy something like this, and well, here it is. It's a 2019 Maserati Levante, the only SUV you can buy right now with a Ferrari-derived twin-turbo V6 engine that is started by an ignition button from a Dodge Dart. Now, I wanted to dislike this thing very, very much, buy it just to make fun of it for many, many reasons, but now that I've owned it for a little bit, even though it has numerous issues, I actually kind of like it. And even more, I actually like the name because I didn't know what Levante meant before I bought it. I Googled it, and Levante is actually a warm Mediterranean wind that blows through the Strait of Gibraltar. So basically, it is the Maserati fart. So the next time you have an unexpected wind and somebody says, "What the heck was that?" you can just say, well, it was the Levante. Another fun fact, the stock ride height of this thing is 6.9 inches. Nice. That is what Maserati chose to have the factory ride height on this car, but it's air ride, so you can raise it up to 9.85 inches, which I know, I'm a child. But here's some non-childish facts about the warm Mediterranean wind that blows through the Strait of Gibraltar. It actually has its own platform with the Quattroporte and the Ghibli. This isn't based on some Chrysler SUV, even though there's a lot of Chrysler parts, and it does indeed have a very nice little V6 under the hood that is Ferrari-derived twin-turbo, 345 horsepower. Unfortunately, though, the one under my hood has been quite neglected. Up here you see the sticker, it says Chase Auto. This was a one-owner Maserati warm wind that blows through the Strait of Gibraltar, but unfortunately that one owner drove this thing to over 104,000 miles, probably didn't change the oil in the last 30 to 50,000 miles before it was repoed by the bank, and it was not given back to the bank with the keys. They had to make their own little crappy aftermarket cheap key that they programmed to make the car work. It doesn't even come with, say, a key if the battery goes dead and you have to use it for the doors and such. So basically, I will never ever be locking this car until, well, if I get a real Maserati key for it. So yes, it is a bank repo that I got extraordinarily cheap. New, these things are $80,000, which is ridiculous. $90,000 easily with some options. I bought this for a little over $30,000 because it was a bank repo with over 100,000 miles. Even though it's a 2019, it's only 3 years old. But the biggest issue was what was noted in the report, that, well, the oil warning light was on and the engine was sludged up. Thankfully, I put a quart of oil in this thing and the oil warning light went away, but when you look inside the engine, which we will do here in the garage and then later more at the Car Wizards, it doesn't look good. But despite this car with a Ferrari-derived engine built in Turin, Italy, being treated like a Kia Rio, it still runs and drives very, very well. So today I'll give you a tour of this bank repo Maserati fart, and then we'll drive it around and take it up to the Car Wizards to see, well, what else is going on with it other than the sludge, which hopefully a detergent can clean out. There's no denying that this warm gust of Mediterranean wind is beautiful with the front end treatment. The giant Maserati Trident or Spork, proudly showing off that it is a Maserati. They don't want you to confuse this with anything else, even though it looks vaguely like an Infiniti SUV. You also get the grill badge, so within a few inches of each other you have two Sporks, but as you can see, the lower part of this bumper, it's pushed in, but I think that'll just pop right back in. The wheels are actually 19 inches, which you wouldn't think by looking at them. We're just so conditioned nowadays to see 22s or something that 19 inches look small. And this one, well, of course, it's scraped because it's a bank repo. Every single wheel is scraped. You can see it has portholes, which I believe they do absolutely nothing. We'll look inside the engine bay and make sure. But one other funny thing is every single tire on this car is a different brand and a different set of wears. On the front is a Salyun, and back here is a Arturo, which is completely worn to basically a drag slick and loses air pretty quickly. This one's really gouged as well. You go around this thing, well, it looks a lot more like an Infiniti from this angle, but of course, another spork on the rear quarter of the car, and then Levante, you know, actually a pretty pleasant looking car. Of course, somebody used this thing to lift up luggage or something and scratch the heck out of the bumper because, well, they're not making their payments, so who cares? And then you see a piece of trim has fallen off as well on a 2019 Maserati. I'm gonna have to find this wheel well piece. And on this side, we have Pinta foursomes. I haven't seen these tires since the Maybach, so we have foursome tires on this side, and probably the least damaged wheel of the bunch, just that little spoke right there that looks like a dog chewed on it. And then we go into the interior of a bank repo, and well, there's no smell-o-vision on YouTube, but it does smell reasonably foul. I thought it smelled a little bit like weed, but Urination Bob, he's somewhat of an expert with used cars, and he thinks it smells like animal urine, so I should probably trust him on that. But you go in here and things do look pretty nice, 103,000 miles. They made some improvements in the first few years of the Levante, like the shifter here is much better. You have a park button, looks a lot nicer. Volume control knobs and things that I don't understand. These cars aren't that intuitive, but what Italian car is, so it fits right in. But also this trim piece for the seatbelt and the B-pillar is falling down. All of the floor mats are gone, of course, because bank repo, but overall it is in very, very nice condition, and everything in here works except for the backup camera. It just gives me a blue screen of death every time I put it in reverse, but here comes the Chrysler product stuff. You see this push button start? Well, that is definitely from a Chrysler. Same with the window switches, but overall it is a pretty nice interior. Now, is it worth $80,000, $90,000 with some options for a base Levante? There's the S that has more power. There's the Trofeo that gives the V8, has a lot more power that are way more expensive. No. No. This car as a base model is in the ballpark of, say, a Range Rover Sport SVR or the highest horsepower AMG Mercedes, and quality-wise, performance-wise, it doesn't hold a candle, but it is still pretty cool. Under the hood, a 345 horsepower V6 that is Ferrari derived. It sounds awesome, which I'll show you here in a little bit. While we are under here, let's check and see if the portholes do anything, and it appears they do not. You can see where they come into the car on the fender, there's nothing there. It just goes into the door. So it's just a place for warm air to collect, a Strait of Gibraltar, if you will. And I'm kind of surprised the presentation really isn't that bad. You see the metal valve covers with Maserati stamped on them. Looks really cool. Turbos hanging out down there. Just a little bit of plastic here, but otherwise a very nice, kind of honestly presented engine. One thing though, I mentioned the sludge, which is why this thing was so cheap. The average auction value of one of these is over $40,000, so to get one for around 30 is quite a steal. The cheapest ones advertised online are like close to 40 grand. And those are early cars, a couple of years older than this with a lot of miles. Well, this one has a lot of miles, but the reason I got it so cheap is, well, look at that lovely, lovely oil cap. When you look inside, which I'm not sure if you can see it all with the GoPro, it is quite nasty in there, and with the oil light on because of the low level, nobody wanted to touch this thing with a 10-foot pole. Look at this nasty, nasty oil, except for the dumbest automotive channel in all of YouTube. And for once, I actually lucked out because adding a quart of oil to this thing, turn the light off, it has great oil pressure. So maybe this engine can be brought back from repo death, but if you didn't look inside of the engine, you wouldn't know because it sounds absolutely wonderful. So now let's take this thing for a drive, and really, that's the best part of it. Let's press my Dodge Dart ignition with the counterfeit key. Recognized. Oh yeah. And then you actually put it in sport, and it opens up the exhaust. Sounds pretty good. I told you, when you drive this thing, it gets a lot better. Well, I'm greeted with a smattering of warning messages, but most importantly, no oil warning. I have it on the oil pressure gauge. We'll actually just switch to the tire pressure, which now that right rear, that drag slick that goes down, it's down to 22 PSI, so I need to add air to it. But actually, I do really like this car. I wanted to not like it. I thought this was just a car for posers to buy. They wanted something Italian to show off, and really they had no idea what they were buying. They just wanted to look cool. And well, admittedly, there is a little bit of that. There's no less than 6 Maserati sporks looking at me in the face, like 2 in the gauges, 1 in the steering wheel, a clock here in the infotainment on the shifter. That's all I can see. So 6 reminders that you are in a Maserati, but then you drive it. Things cluck around, but what a sweet sounding engine. It's really, really nice. And then because it's on a car platform, the handling's actually really, really good. The air ride suspension, which is adjustable, and this B-pillar's hitting me in the face, it's actually really tight, really nimble for a car of its size. I actually like it a lot. I'm a little worried about blowing the engine though, with however old the oil is in there, and then I just threw some random oil in it, so not really good. So somewhat alarming there, I should baby it. But the other thing that I like is the comfort of this car. The seats, for a modern vehicle that's only a couple of years old, it has lots of cushion, the leather's soft. It is really, really a nice place to be in that sense, even though visually it's, well, not that impressive quality-wise. Yeah, visually not all that impressive other than a cupboard full of sporks, but touch and feel-wise, it is actually really, really nice, and I guess that's all that matters. Another thing that matters is the seat of the pants feeling. 345 horsepower, but in real life it feels like a lot more. And when you buy this car, say, over an S, it makes a lot more sense to buy the base model, because the S, well, it's just a tune. The Trofeo's the V8, that's really cool, but that's very expensive. This car, well, you can put a tune on it, $1,000 and you get almost 100 more horsepower. So why would you buy the higher trim models when it's just a matter of a tune? And you can bet I'll be putting a tune on this thing, assuming the engine will desludge and it doesn't have a lot of other issues that the car wizard discovers. So let's head up to the wizards now. Well, actually, first, I'm gonna get a haircut. Oh, and I need to get air for the tire as well. And then we'll head up to the car wizard.
Wizard! I've joined you.
Levante land. Although, usually your wife's driving you around in it, right?
Yeah, I don't drive it very much.
Wizard likes to be driven. He doesn't want to drive, so when actually he has to bring himself to Wichita, he gets lost regularly.
Yeah, I don't actually know where I'm at because I don't do the driving.
Yeah, your wife drives you around in a lovely Levante, and this is well, not a lovely Levante.
I noticed there's a trim piece missing there.
Yes, well, and all the tires are mismatched, and it's a bank repo, 103,000 miles.
103,000 miles.
The oil change may have not been done for like 100,000 of that last 103,000 miles. It is a ridden hard, put away wet, fully out repo Levante. I mean, look at this. Look at this key.
That's not even a Maserati key.
No, that is a repo special key.
It says X-Horse. X-Norse?
X-Horse. You're absolutely right. So I wanted to buy this car to make fun of it. I was a little worried that I was going to offend you in your Maserati ownership by making fun of it, which I have. There's a lot to make fun of, which is the name in particular.
Levante.
Levante. It is a warm gust of wind from the Mediterranean through the Strait of Gibraltar. Did you know that?
Well, yeah, whenever you break wind, it usually is warm wind, isn't it?
So you did know that. You bought a car that's named after a fart anyway.
That, yeah.
A fancy fart. But there's plenty of other issues. I'm sure there's more underneath. We can take a look at this very beat up Levante. But actually, before we do that, what has happened to my Beck? Looks like it had a giant Levante and its whole arse just kind of blew away, didn't it?
It did.
Holy moly.
That was hurricane force Levante.
So it had a 4th gear wind. We were sending it back to the people who built the trans. They're at the same mercy as us to parts and bad aftermarket parts. So probably a bearing or something inside the transmission needs to be fixed, and hence why the trans is out.
Yes, it's on a pallet.
Yes, and looks like you driving your 308 soon?
I hope so.
Something Levante'd my Range Rover too. What the heck? So the rear shocks are out.
Yes.
The only issue I had was like an intermittent warning light. Which
if you try to go to the lowest level, it would think it's hitting an obstacle. And what it was is one strut, which is these one strut, which these are the original struts, would go down with pressure all the way down like normal.
Yeah.
But it's the actual shock absorber I can't speak.
Oh, sorry.
It's the actual shock absorber portion of
Here,
the strut.
let me hold the camera up. Say it.
It's the actual shock absorber portion of the strut.
Oh, so not the air. So
It's
once it gets low enough, then because the shock's blown, it just kind of...
Yeah, one side just kind of just... And then it thinks something's going on and it raises you back up.
Oh, so it throws the air that way.
And these are expensive because these are the variable electronic ones.
Oh, well.
$1,000 a piece.
Oh, yeah. And then the pump too, which was throwing some codes as well. So
Yes.
there's some neglected things with this Range Rover, which is a very nice vehicle that hopefully I'll get back soon. But now I have a Levante. Yes, yes. Oh, feel that Levante breeze passing through you. Shall we?
Yeah, let's take a look at
All
it.
right. I was able to get this thing so cheap because it had an oil warning light on. It said engine sludge, low oil, and oh.
Is that why?
I think the idiot just didn't tighten down the cap when he was showing his audience earlier. But anyway, take that cap off now and yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, look at the cap and look inside there, Wizard. It's
Looks kind of grungy.
that's a milkshake. Yep, yep.
It's not horrible, but there is a thin layer of grunge. I think we can get that with a flush. Luckily, it's not chunks inside of there.
Okay, so an oil flush may save this 103,000 mile Maserati, and now I need a detail, obviously, because somebody didn't put the cap back on. But yeah, the oil was actually almost 2 quarts low,
Wow.
and so it's throwing a warning, and that's why nobody wanted it except me. And I actually got lucky. 2 quarts, and the thing seems fine.
It seems like it runs fine, what it sounds like.
But I imagine if they neglected changing the oil and went with 3 different brands of tires, including foursomes, those are back.
Foursomes.
You remember those on the
Yes.
Maybach? Yeah. Yeah. I imagine there's some other skimped maintenance items, so shall we?
Well, first we got to get it into jack mode, and you do that through the center console on the screen. I'll show you.
Oh, okay. See my my pillar trims kind of... Isn't that nice?
Oh, wonderful. It smells kind of weird in here.
Does your Levante smell like that?
No.
It smells... What does it smell like to you?
Like a cat peed in here.
You and Bob is the same thing. Okay, so do we start it?
No, just turn the ignition on. Don't
Oh,
start the
okay.
engine. Let this thing boot up here.
Yeah, which is pretty goofy because in order to turn on the heated seats, you have to go through a bunch of toggle screens, which is kind of dumb. But
Let's see right here.
hit the spork. Go into settings of the spork. Suspension. Jack mode. There we go. Okay.
Air suspension disabled.
Very nice. So now we can go in the air and it won't go all crazy?
Yes.
Well, it's nice to have the knowledge of a fellow Levante owner to look at these things, which
Yeah.
I know these cars get a lot of flack and roasted quite a bit, but they are, I mean, I was planning on roasting it, which I have a little bit, but the more I drive it, the more I actually like this thing.
They really are nice.
One thing I didn't point out before, it looks like this will just like slide and pop back in, like
Yeah.
it was a curb hit or something.
They hit something pretty hard, yeah.
But the parking sensors still work, which is nice.
Yeah, that's nice.
We have our underbody panels.
These are missing a lot of screws here,
Oh, well,
but the panels are here. That's good.
yes.
Uh-oh.
What's that?
I think that goes to your brake wear sensor. Yeah, see?
Oh,
That's chewed up
well,
or cut. I
it's
don't
not throwing a warning though, maybe because the wires have been put together or something.
know. Yeah.
Nice. How do my brakes look?
Let's see. They're about halfway gone.
Huh.
Still got some life left in them.
Yeah.
There's a oil leak coming from the bottom of the turbo. Looks like just an O-ring or something.
Oh, well, not bad.
These tires smell like poop.
Why would they smell like that?
I don't know. Did you run
I
into
must have ran over something. Okay. Huh.
Nothing's loose. I don't think that there's anything going on this side, really. There's some oil going on there.
It's Italian.
It's Italian.
It's Italian.
That's one of the intake pipes for the turbo. That's just PCV oil. It's probably because it hasn't had an oil change in who knows when. Same thing on the turbo over here. It just needs some gaskets, I think.
And this isn't anything unusual with these twin turbo engines of any make and model with 100,000 miles on it. They all start leaking.
But everything's dry back here.
Yeah.
Transmission,
Okay.
drive shaft. Let's see what's going on here. Dry back here as well. The little transfer case is nice and dry.
Mm-hmm. I guess the drive shaft's hidden above the heat. Oh yeah, there it is coming out right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Very nice.
It's in good shape. Nothing leaking back here. The boots.
Look at those giant accordions of airbags there.
That's the Levante.
What the heck? That's almost comical. I guess they wanted to protect it with some kind of shield that looks like a musical instrument. Exactly. Yeah, compared to the Land Rovers, which is just a very normal looking airbag, they decided to cover it all up with literally an accordion.
Yeah, so they have the airbag and the shock absorber separate units.
Oh.
On yours, they're all in one.
Interesting.
Ride height sensor's good. Same over here. There's the accordion. The brakes, they're about 80% or more gone.
So they actually did the brakes one time before
One time?
they stopped making payments, I imagine, huh?
Yeah, one time before they stopped making payments, yeah.
Either that or they've lasted 104,000 miles. It's just a lot of highway driving or something, huh?
It's possible on the rear.
Yeah. Look at this tire. This is the one that loses about 10 psi a day.
It's like a racing slick.
Yeah, and all the wheels are ruined, so I'm probably just going to find some better wheels and tires for it because 19 looks a little small. But the oil leaks, they're
minor.
minor. I mean, would you fix them?
Yeah,
Well, of course you'd say that, but should I really actually fix them?
I think so because those aren't, the turbo oil leaks aren't hard to get to, and that just needs to be cleaned out.
Okay.
And figure out what this is here.
Yeah.
We're going to have to take all the panels off and just really take a deeper look at everything.
All right. Well, we can do that when we do the oil flush, I imagine, right?
Yeah, we definitely will.
Hopefully there's not any big chunks that come out and screw things up when you do that, but
I don't think there will be.
I suppose that's a to be continued. For a bank repo Maserati that was driven like it was and treated like it was, I think I did okay.
I think you did.
Well, that's a shocker, but really it's just a numbers game. I get 3 or 4 bad ones, then you get 1 good one. So if you just keep trying, you'll eventually trip your way over the finish line of something. Yeah. Yes. Thank you for watching.